All right, we're live. All right.
Okay.
Yay. This is Carol Wain, and on this week's Reinvention Show, I'm Joan. Hi there, this is Carol Wain, and on this week's Reinvention Show, I'm joined by Amy Aversa, chef, food stylist, and mom. Find out how a room in her house made her quit her six-figure career in fashion, how you get pregnant with twins after your relationship is over, and how to reinvent yourself even if you're as busy as a single mother with twins. Check out the interview. All right. And then we'll edit that out. All right.
That was good. That was good.
All right. Welcome, my friends. This is the Reinvention Show, the one and only show that educates, entertains, and supports you as you reinvent yourself professionally. I'm your host, Carol Wain, and I am all about helping you reinvent yourself professionally. Today, I'm joined by Amy Aversa, the owner of an award-winning Sweet Basil Catering, a New York-based full-service catering and event planning company specializing in creative, modern American cuisine. Amy is a chef, food stylist, and mother of 3-year-old twins, Alexandra and Andrew. We're going to talk about what motivated her to reinvent herself, what she learned along the way, and her top tips to make your own reinvention as easy as possible. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, Amy, I love your story. You got a great story to tell, and I'm sure it's going to resonate with a lot of women out there in particular. So tell us how you came to be an award-winning chef, caterer, and event planner, and owner of Sweet Basil Catering Company.
Well, my story is a little different because I started off doing something completely different from cooking. I worked in fashion. After I graduated from college, I was looking for a job. I kind of knew I loved cooking, but sort of let people talk me out of pursuing a career as a chef because I was told it was too hard, the hours were too long, isn't it mostly men? And I just sort of, I drank the Kool-Aid, and I ended up working in fashion year after year after year. Before you know it, was like 13 years later, and I was really miserable. I was working like crazy hours. I was traveling to Hong Kong and Peru, Colombia, which are great places, but when your heart's not in your work, your heart's not in your work. So I was exhausted all the time, stressed out, and just totally had no passion for what I was doing. So in my spare time, I was always cooking for friends, having dinner parties, and I slowly started thinking, like, could I make this switch? Is it too late? I was like 36, 37 years old, and I thought, my God, I want to get married, have kids. Like, how can I start a career right now? Like, this is crazy because I'm not going to make money for like 5, 6, 7 years if I'm lucky. But I decided it was just time to take the leap. I thought, you know what, it's now or never. I just envisioned myself. I think the motivating thing was I envisioned myself like 10, 15 years in that same damn office at my fashion company, just as unhappy, and I thought, I'm just going to do it. So I left, and I enrolled in culinary school, and I never looked back. That was in 2006.
Now, how long were you in culinary school for?
I was in culinary school for a year, and I got out, and I was like, now what am I going to do? Like, I didn't really have a plan. I just knew that I loved to cook. And I sampled around in restaurants a little bit. I tried personal chefing. I tried a lot of different things. But I always knew in my heart of hearts that I wanted to run my own business. And I think what I learned in fashion, even though I didn't like it, I really had very solid training in a lot of very practical things like product development, costing, managing people. So I was actually able to take those skills and really kind of directly transfer them into starting a company. Not that I knew what I was doing with websites or technical or anything like that, but that's what really helped me ease into that transition and made me a little bit more confident in going out and selling to people, because I knew that I could figure out, what my margins were and where I needed to be and how I was going to buy things to hit those. So I was able to sort of leverage my experience and move into culinary. But I did end up working for a couple of catering companies before I started my own company to sort of figure it all out. I worked as a chef. I made almost nothing. In fact, when I finished culinary school, I got job offers for like $9.25 an hour. I was, 36 years old. Here I am coming from six figures, traveling all around the world, eating out 5 nights a week. And I was like, you're going to pay me what? And that's what I thought, oh my gosh, I need to do my own thing. I need to do it quickly. So I really set my sights on building my own company. And I knew that once I got it going, because I'm so passionate about what I do, I knew once I got it going, it would hopefully work. But again, it was a total leap of faith, and you're never quite sure.
Right. Now, when did you factor in your family situation?
Well, you know what? It was, I've always wanted kids. I've always wanted, had the dream that so many women do. I wanted to get married to a great guy, have a family, have a career. Things didn't really work out that way, for whatever reason. Timing is crucial in life. So once I was in culinary school, I met somebody, and I really liked him. We became serious very quickly. We had the same goals. He was divorced and he wanted to get married again. He wanted to have more children. We really hit it off. We were super compatible. I was like crazy about him. After I finished school and I started getting these ridiculously crazy $9 an hour job offers, I think he got a little freaked out because he liked that girl that was, making 6 figures, and, we were having fun with that. So bit by bit, and Rome wasn't built in a day, and I did not finish school and then have this master plan and this is what I'm doing and here's my business plan, I'm starting now. I really took a while to really figure out how to do it. I made a lot of mistakes, so I didn't know what I was doing for a while. I think he grew very impatient with me, and he sort of basically put it to me that I needed to be pulling in a minimum of $100,000 a year within that year in order for us to stay together. Pretty much that's what he told me. So I promptly dumped the guy because I was like, this isn't going to happen. It's going to take me a little longer than that. And he was pushing me to go back to fashion. And I'm thinking, why am I with somebody that wants me to be so unhappy just for the money? No way. So I broke up with him, and then what do you know, I'm almost 40 years old, and the clock was ticking loudly, boom, the boom, the boom in my ear. I just knew it was now or never, and there is no perfect time for children, no matter how old you are. So I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now. So I actually ended up, getting myself knocked up in my doctor's office, in vitro fertilization, and I wound up with twins. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. I thought 1 was okay. Now 2, this is crazy. So during my pregnancy, actually, is probably when I got the most work done. I was actually on bed rest because with twins, it's, high risk pregnancy. I sort of had early contractions very early on. They put me on bed rest, and I'm like, I can't just sit here and watch Netflix. I'm popping out 2 kids in 9 months that I gotta feed them. What am I gonna do? So I literally, I was calling clients. I was working every angle I had. I was calling fashion people that I used to work for. You guys having a party? And I really, that was a great year. I was able to get staff in place where I actually didn't necessarily need to be at my events. I could manage them kind of from bed. And yeah, I did. And that year it was wild because at the end of that year, actually, that's when I received an award, like the Bride's Choice Award. It's called. It's sponsored by Martha Stewart Weddings. And I was like, you know what, shit, if I can do this on bed rest while pregnant with twins with no support at all, no hubby, no boyfriend, nothing, no family in New York, a lot of people can do this. So I think there's a lesson in there somewhere. It's like if there's a will, there's a way. And if you're really passionate about it, you're going to get it done. So that was my pregnancy. The first year after I had the twins, I was lucky because I had support in my home. I got a young girl, a nanny, working full-time. The 2 of us banged out. She was also my assistant. We banged out so many events. I probably did 70 events that first year.
Wow.
And within 2 years, I was 6 figures, netting after taxes. So I was like, this is crazy. Other people need to follow their passion and do it because it's totally doable. And now I talk to so many women, so many people, so many women in their late 30s, early 40s can relate to my story. I see them struggling with career and or relationship. They might be single, they came out of something, they desperately want children. They think they can't do it on their own. And it's like, if I can do it, you can do it. It's not like I have this big trust fund. I mean, I live in the middle of Manhattan. It's so expensive here. But it's a matter of choice and what's important to you. You know, if you really want children, if you really want your own business and you want your independence, you need to carve that out for yourself, and you can do it. I really believe that most people can do it, you know.
So now, how do the twins relate to you being an entrepreneur? I started my business while I was on maternity leave, so my daughter only knows, shh, mommy's working.
Right. Well, I think it's great because I have a lot of flexibility. I get to see my kids every single day. You know, I mainly still work from home. You know, I mean, I'm out and about because I'm meeting clients and with events, but, you know, the greatest thing about it is that you have so much flexibility and independence. And I wonder how, I often think back, like, I wouldn't be able to do anything with my kids if I still had my other job, because I'd have to leave my home probably 7:30, 8 to be at work, you know, 8:30. And I worked till 6, 7 at night. They'd be in bed. So for the first 3 years, I would have spent very little time with them, and I would be traveling. So this is great because I'll take like 3 weeks off in spots, and then I work intensely. It's not like I'm not working. I'm working all the time, sort of, but I'm working when I want. I'm able to pick and choose my clients now. And I can't imagine having children and actually going to a job somewhere. I could never go back to that. So that's actually what motivates me to keep working really hard. Every time you can slack a little bit. We all there's some weeks where we just don't feel like writing that proposal or doing that event, or maybe a client's really high maintenance. But then I always remind myself, if this business fails, I have to probably, for at least a short amount of time, go into an office every day. And the thought of that repulses me. It's frank. Like, I'm sorry, all you working women, I did it for 13 years, and woo, when you have kids, it's a whole nother thing. Like, you really want to be here for them. You know, I get to take them to their sports classes in the middle of the day. Like, I'll just be like, you know what, put work aside, we're going to basketball right now. I'm going to that birthday party in the middle of the day that stay-at-home moms seem to like to have. But, you know, so it's been really good, really good.
So you would do it all over again?
Not only would I do it all over again, like, I want to write a book teaching people how to do this, because it's so much easier than you think it is. Like, I want to be able to help women realize these dreams on their own, because they're actually, even though it's not easy, it's really not that hard. Like, it's a process you go through. The hardest part of this is what I call the mourning process. Like, you're kind of mourning the loss of a dream. Like, I wanted to have a husband, and I wanted to do this order. And once you get over that mourning, you go through the mourning process, you come out this other side, you're like, what took me so long? I should have done this like 10 years ago. This is so great, you know?
Yeah. Now, what are your top 5 tips for reinvention?
Yeah, I have a lot of tips, but I would say one of the things I would recommend, I would say test the waters before you take the plunge. And by that, I mean, if you think there's a certain career you want to do, or you have envy of somebody's job, maybe don't quit your day job. I'm a little bit more on the conservative side. So especially since, you know, my career, I had it for so many years, and health insurance for so many years. So I'm not a huge risk taker. So what I did was I did a couple volunteer gigs in restaurants, and if anyone is going to be willing to hire you for free, so it's not hard to get, and that way you kind of know, because I've seen a lot of people, especially people that go through culinary school, they come out and the reality of it is not for them. It's either too much work or they're just not into it. So give yourself a free little test drive, and in the process you're helping somebody run their business, or at least work for a few hours. So I always recommend to test it out before you take that plunge. That way you'll be more comfortable in your transition. And if you really like it, you're going to be even more excited that you're investing money and time and pulling out of something else to switch. I would say another tip would be to go with your gut always. Like, you know when it feels right, you know when it doesn't feel right. Like, making a career switch is not for everybody, but if the anxiety far outweighs the excitement, then it might not be the right thing to do at that time. You know, may need to research it more. Tip number 3, I would completely ignore advice from friends and family. Like, throw it out, crumple it up, throw it out, never look at it again, because they mean well, but they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I learned that the hard way. I probably would have switched careers like 20 years ago if I hadn't taken the advice of friends and family. So yeah, I think it's best to seek out other women that have done the same thing, like your show, or, you know, there's so many female entrepreneurs out there that have done it, even guys that have made the change. Talk to them and let that inspire you. Let that passion carry you, because it's so easy to let the light of your passion get extinguished by the slightest comment from somebody. You'll run scared, you know, because it's already a scary process to begin with.
Right.
So I would say another one is to have a safety net. Again, I'm a little bit more conservative. I made the switch with some money in the bank, not a boatload, but that way you'll feel at least, you know what, I can try this out for 2 or 3 months because I have this saved and I'm going to do it a little less stressfully because of it. So that's just how I operate. It's different for everybody else, but I like to have that cushion with me, and then you can try it out for longer. And then I would say the last thing would be to leverage your reinvention experience. So whatever work you did, whether you were working in a grocery store as a checkout person or you were a high-flying lawyer, you learned something along the way that will make you kick butt in the next thing you're doing. And I would really sit there and write those skills down, because you have more skills than you think you have. I never would have thought there was so much of a correlation between fashion and food, between my old job and my new job, but they are so similar with kind of just different products, you know. And had I really thought about that and explored it, again, I maybe have made the transition earlier, or it just would have been a little less scary. So I would suggest sitting down, just bullet pointing, writing everything you do at work, and then what skills you've learned, and actually talk about it to a friend. Like, ask them to job interview you of your current job. They will actually recap for you what you do really well, more so than you will see it. So sometimes it takes a new set of eyes. And those things you can definitely leverage and use to your advantage. And even if you had clients in your past career, you can transition those clients, because there might be some crossover, more so than you realize. You know?
Right.
So those would be my tips. There's probably 100 more I can give, but I think those are the ones that came to my mind first.
Right. Now, did you have any setbacks along the way? Any things that sort of threw you for a loop?
Yeah, and I still do. You know, being a business owner, there are so many setbacks all the time. Things that you can't anticipate, things you've never done before. You know, I took on some events that I probably shouldn't have taken on. Unfortunately, they went off really well. But, you know, I would say if there aren't setbacks in the first couple of years, then you're really probably not digging your heels into your business.
You're not trying hard enough.
Yeah. I would say my biggest setback was becoming incredibly nauseous during my pregnancy, to the point where I couldn't be around food. It was really, really hard. So I had to make all these alternative plans. Like, the smell of ice bothered me, you know, and people are like, does ice smell? It smells when you're pregnant and you're nauseous. Yeah. So that was a huge setback for me. I've also had people leave, you know, randomly, out of the blue, unexpectedly. I had a nanny that was living with me the first year, which is critical. One day she walked out the door and she never came back. I had 3 events that weekend. She left on Friday at 2. I thought maybe she was going out for coffee. I don't know. Never came back. By 6 p.m. I'm like, she's not coming back, you know. And yeah, she went all the way back to Wisconsin. I mean, New York has that effect on people, but, and so does catering and being a nanny for 2 one-year-old twins. But that was a setback. So there have been many, 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 many setbacks, and there will be many, many, many more. I learned not to freak out about them, because you know what? As Marie Forleo says, everything is figure-outable, and it is.
I love Marie.
I know she's awesome. She
Yeah.
really is.
Well, just speaking of Marie for a second, I signed up for B School last year. And
Oh,
I was going through a reinvention process myself to set myself up as a specialist for tourism marketing. And while I was going through B School, I went, you know what? This isn't exactly what I want to do.
that's great. So during B school, you figured it out. That's what
Yeah,
B school's for, you know?
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So, anyways, do you have any more tips that you'd like to add?
Um, Not really. I mean, I think I just would encourage people to really follow their passion in life, as it's very cliche, but I think once you do, you will really come out on the other end much happier, much more fulfilled, and just no regrets, you know?
Well, thank you very, very much. I love your story, and I know a lot of moms are going to love your story, or a lot of potential moms are going to love your story.
Right, right.
If this woman can create a business as like award-winning, successful business and have twins, of course
Yeah.
I could do it, they're going to say. So that's it for me from the Reinvention Show today. But if you've been inspired and you'd like to find out more about the process of professional reinvention, visit www.carolwain.com and sign up for updates so that I can let you know when I'm going to add more interviews. Remember, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. So until next time, ciao.